Opening tips for the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Disney World. This is episode 43 of the Go Informed podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is episode 43 of the Go Inform podcast, and my name is Maven. I'm super happy to have you here with me today. Today we are talking about a long anticipated announcement from Disney about the opening of the brand new Star Wars lands at both Disneyland and Disney World. This topic is something that people have been waiting for a long time, and now we have our opening dates, and along with that, a whole bunch of logistical complications, things to know, things we don't know yet, but I just thought there is a lot to talk about with this, and I really wanted to get on it right away, get you guys some information, kind of give you my opinion about what to expect with the opening of these new lands and how you can be there if you want to be, or how to avoid the crowds if you're worried about that. So before I jump into the topic for today, I just wanted to give a big thank you to everybody who's been listening, who's been following the blog and reading the website and all of that for all this many years that I have been publishing under Go Informed. The blog this month is turning 4 years old, and actually for me, I can't really remember when I didn't have that website. It's been super fun posting about all the places that I really love to go, and I started that website back in March of 2015. And since then, it's really grown, and now we have a podcast, which is super cool. And it all started with that 33 things to know before you visit Universal Orlando post. And I think a lot of you guys have probably seen that, because that might be how you ended up here. So thank you for making that such a popular post and for reading it. Over the years after that, as you know, I added a lot of Disney World information and other theme park tips. But a lot of you guys might not know this, but on goinform.net, I actually have tips for travel to the Big Island of Hawaii, the Caribbean island of Bonaire, scuba and snorkeling advice, and also tips from my trip last year to the Tahitian Islands, to Bora Bora and Rangiroa. And there's one episode here in the archives, episode 25, which is the episode that I recorded live in Bora Bora. And if you want to take a little vacation today to a tropical island, and give that one a listen, because even for me, it's really fun to listen to that now and kind of go back to that island just for a minute. So anyway, I wanted to acknowledge that. I want to thank everybody for sharing the show, sharing the links to the site, for supporting the show and the website through buying things at Amazon off the links, for being our patrons on Patreon, and just generally being there and being the audience. So thank you so much for sustaining all of this project, and I'm looking forward to another really great year. And you guys, it's funny, like I said, I feel like I've been blogging about this topic, especially these theme park topics, for long enough that it's just kind of natural for me to want to share this news out with you. And so, of course, as soon as I got the information about when these lands were gonna open, the first thing I thought was, well, I got to share this out with all the Go Informed Nation. So thanks for being there. and giving me a reason to stand in my basement and talk about Disney for a half an hour and just dream about being there. Okay, guys, so let's jump into the topic for today, which is Star Wars Land. It's really opening. It's really coming. The land is coming to both Disneyland and Disney World. Disney's been building both of these simultaneously. They are basically supposed to be identical, so both coasts is going to get a Star Wars Land. And I talked a little bit about Star Wars Land in my episodes about Hollywood Studios, because that is the park at Disney World where Star Wars Land's going to go. So if you heard the last episode about Toy Story Land, I mentioned it a little bit there. And then on my Hollywood Studios audio tour, which is episode 15, we talked about it there. And now I'm really excited to be able to tell you a lot more about that land. And you can even plan to go and see it. So at Disneyland, the Star Wars Land's going to open on May 31st, 2019. At Disney World, it's going to open on August 29th, 2019. I'm not exactly sure why they're not opening at the exact same time. I know the construction has taken longer in Florida, and it probably just has to do with the conditions down there. The land is really swampy, the weather can be really extreme, and they've probably just had delays. I think they meant for them to both open at the same time, but they aren't. So, one thing, too, about these opening dates is that this is actually earlier than I thought they were going to open, and then a lot of people thought. And I'm going to get into a little bit about why they're able to open them at this time. It's earlier than anticipated, which surprised a lot of people. So if you were thinking you were going to have to wait longer to get to see Star Wars Land, then you're going to be happy to know that it is opening quite a bit sooner than we thought. Just a little bit of background about this this theming and this land. So the official name of Star Wars Land is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it's going to be the same name on both coasts. It's going to be super immersive. I think, the idea is that it's going to be a lot like what we see in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So really, like, you are walking into this Star Wars universe. The actual place that you're supposed to be when you walk in here is a planet called Batuu, and it's a remote outpost. That's what Disney says. It's a remote outpost in the Star Wars universe, and it is apparently it belongs right in the Star Wars canon. So Star Wars geeks are going to feel like this is just an added part of all the stories. There's so many places where Star Wars is. And this is like you get to really go and live it. And I have seen, and I will post in the show notes, some of Disney's information about these lands. It really does look amazing. I mean, even the costuming that they have for the cast members, the food, the merchandise, like everything about it, really, to me, it looks a lot like what we see in Diagon Alley, just with the Star Wars theme. And just like Harry Potter, Star Wars is a huge franchise. There's people of all walks of life, all ages, all over the world love Star Wars. And so, obviously, this is going to be a really popular place for quite a long time. Inside the land, there's going to be 2 headliner attractions. These are both supposed to be extremely sophisticated, stuff you've never seen before. One of them, you actually are supposed to be flying the Millennium Falcon, which is really cool. When you walk into the land, the Millennium Falcon is going to have a really prominent spot, so you see it right when you walk in. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be super cool. So that ride's called Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And then there's a second ride called Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. And this ride, there's not as much information about what to expect. And I think because this is just going to be different from anything else we've ever seen, Disney says, quote, join the resistance in a climactic battle against the First Order. That's all I've got for you guys. I don't know what this one's going to be like. But I do think it's going to be super cool because Star Wars, you expect high tech, you expect something you haven't seen before. And I think Disney is really going to deliver on this. But like I said, even the food and the shopping and all of that's going to be cool. There's going to be a cantina like in the original Star Wars movie, and blue milk and cool stuff in the shops. And I think they're taking what they did at Pandora, which is to really immerse you and take out the Mickey Mouse and stuff like that and really make it be that place. I think that's what's going to happen here in this Star Wars land. So again, like a lot like what's at Harry Potter. I'm sure that's no coincidence. Once those Harry Potter lands opened, Disney saw the crowds going there and they had to figure out how to get them back. So now let's talk about all the logistics that have to do with visiting these parks when this Star Wars land opens. The first thing to know is that this is going to be really popular. I mean, a lot of people are Harry Potter fans, and you know how popular that part of Universal is. And Star Wars, I mean, it must be that times 10 in terms of the number of people who know the franchise and are interested in visiting this. I will not say that they're any more enthusiastic than Harry Potter fans. I think the fandom base, the geeks, are probably Harry Potter geeks are just as into it as the Star Wars geeks. So you're going to definitely have like this extreme group who wants to be first in there because they are serious Star Wars fans. The thing about this and being so popular is that it is going to impact the rest of the parks and everything at the Disneyland Resort and at the Disney World Resort. This is going to mean more crowds everywhere in the parks and in the restaurants and in the hotels. So you really have to want to see Star Wars, I think, to go to these places right around the time when this opens. Now, if you're like, oh no, I got to avoid this crowd. What can I do? I don't need to see Star Wars, but I am going. You know, I really want to go to Disneyland. I really want to go to Disney World. Okay, so here's what I think. I think the best thing you could do is try to go to these parks before the Star Wars lands even open. The thing is that a lot of people are going to wait and want to visit it after that opens. And that means that Disney is going to probably discount their hotel rooms in the lead up to these openings because, you know, if it's not opening, like this Disneyland situation, the Star Wars land's going to open May 31st. Well, in April and early May, Disney is probably going to have a lot of empty hotel rooms because of the people who are just sitting on the sideline and waiting to go after Star Wars opens. So Disneyland they have been offering this year discounted tickets to Disneyland, park tickets that are good until May 23rd. So that kind of tells you that they're trying to get the crowds in there before the Star Wars thing opens, and then they will not need to discount tickets. So if you want to go to Disneyland, try to go there this spring. Look for those special, it's multi-day tickets. They've got some really good discounts right now for almost all the dates leading up until May 23rd. And you may be able to get a good rate on a hotel there as well if you go before this Star Wars Land opens. Now, Disney World is not going to open their Star Wars Land until the end of summer. Summer is already a peak crowd time at Disney World. A lot of people plan a little farther in advance for their Disney World vacations than they do with Disneyland. So I don't know how it's going to impact crowd levels there in those months leading up to the opening. You may see discounted rooms, probably not discounted tickets. That doesn't happen very often at Disney World. But at least if you were to go, I'll tell you probably the lowest crowd level you're going to have in the next, starting by summer and beyond of 2019 is probably the middle of August, like from about the 15th of August until the 28th, because that is already a low crowd time at Disney World. And because that opening date is the 29th, there will be people who will be booking their hotel rooms beginning, right then. And then the rest of the fall is going to be really booked up because people will make a way to get there and see this Star Wars thing. So if you want to avoid the crowds at Disney World, best time would probably be in early to like mid-August. And then after that, stay out at Hollywood Studios because that is where the Star Wars Land's going to be. And unless you really want to go for it, and I'm going to talk about how some of the tactics you can do to make this work and go see the Star Wars Land. But if that's not your priority, then at Disney World, you can get away from it a little bit because the parks are far apart. There's 4 parks at Disney World. It will bring more people onto the Disney World property, but you can, get over to a different park and get away from the Star Wars crowd. At Disneyland, California Adventure is literally across the street. People are going to be overflowing into all parts of Disneyland once this Star Wars Land opens. So it is going to be a madhouse. And again, you really have to want it to put up with that. So how can you see Star Wars Land? How can you see Galaxy's Edge and maintain your sanity? First of all, I would say you've really got to have a plan. And even if you have a plan, it's going to be hard to see this thing when it first opens. Disney's already said there's going to be no fast passes at first for the rides in Galaxy's Edge when they first open it. And that's at Disneyland and Disney World. Disneyland is also not going to open it for Extra Magic Hour. So that is not a thing. So the other thing to know is that, and this is why they were able to announce such early opening dates, only the Millennium Falcon ride is going to be operating when they first open Star Wars Land. So the Rise of the Resistance ride, that's going to open at some unknown future date. So that means that there's only going to be one attraction to suck up all the people that are in Galaxy's Edge. And it's going to be a lot of people. And the other thing to know is that these are super sophisticated attractions. And especially when they first launch these things, the rides will break down frequently during the day. And it's not even just when it first starts out. I've talked about it before that we've been stuck in the Gringotts ride several times. The Hogwarts Castle ride breaks still. We've been in line and had to wait extra long because it stopped. The Flight of Passage ride frequently breaks down. These are super, super complicated systems. And one little thing and it will shut down. and it will stop the line from moving. And when this Star Wars Galaxy's Edge first opens and there's only a Millennium Falcon ride, I predict that people will literally stand in line all day and may still not get on that ride. So it sounds totally crazy probably for most people that someone would do that, but that there will be people doing that because that's the only reason they want to come to Disneyland or to Disney World. So you have got to think about if that you want to be that person. Now, there is a lot of other stuff. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff to see in Galaxy's Edge besides these rides. Like I said, the food's going to be cool. The theming's amazing. The shopping, all of that. So there's going to be a lot you can do besides stand in line and go on the Millennium Falcon ride. And probably if you're going to get there almost any time in the first 6 months maybe of opening, you may not ride the attraction. You may just want to go and check it out, and that's the best you can do, because with no fast passes, that line is going to take a long time to move. And I really think that the lines for these attractions is going to be long for potentially a couple of years, at least during peak times. You still see it at Flight of Passage in Avatar, in Pandora, the world of Avatar. There are regularly still line wait times of 5 hours for that ride, and it's been open for 2 years. So, I'm trying to give you guys like a realistic expectation about what you can expect, because it is going to be crazy. Now, Disney is doing a few things to make it a little less crazy. So they are going to limit the crowds into these lands. And we know a lot more about what they're going to do at Disneyland as opposed to a Disney World, just because the Disneyland opening is going to be, coming up pretty soon here. So what they're saying they're going to do there is they're going to do a free reservation system, which as of this recording, we don't exactly know how that's going to work, but you're going to be able to try to get a reservations for a timed entry into Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. And they're saying that they're going to use this reservation system from May 31st until June 23rd. But I don't see crowds going away after 3 weeks. So my expectation is that this reservation system, if it works for them, they'll keep doing it into the near future. And if it doesn't work for them, they're going to figure out some other way to limit the crowds, because there is a maximum capacity in these lands. And, you don't want to be in there anyway. Even when it's packed to the max, it's going to be super crowded, but you can't just have unlimited crowds. So, right now, they're saying they're going to do this free reservation system, and it will give you a timed entry into the land. Of course, you also need a park ticket. This is just your ticket to get into that part of the park. I'm going to put a link to Disney's information about this in the show notes, so you guys can take a look at that and get whatever's most up to date. And show notes are going to be at goinform.net/43. I don't really know how many of these reservations will be available for each day, but I can guarantee you that the demand's going to exceed the supply. So it's probably going to be kind of luck if you can get one of these timed reservations. It makes it tricky because if you're trying to plan a vacation and you don't even know if you can get into this thing, you just need to be aware that could happen, that you might not even be able to get into the Star Wars land. So Disney has created a very clever workaround, though, with this reservation system. So they are saying that if you stay in one of their Disneyland hotels, so that's the Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian, or the Paradise Pier, then you will automatically get a reservation for Star Wars Land. It looks like you get one per stay per guest. So not one per day. Doesn't look like it. It looks like for your party and your room, they will give you a timed entry sometime during your stay for the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So this is a really good way to know that you're going to be able to get in there. And last I checked, there actually were still rooms in these hotels. Now, they were super expensive, but you could get it. So, give it a try. That might be a way to get the reservation. And the other thing is that just like I was saying a minute ago, I cannot imagine this only lasting 3 weeks. I really think this is probably going to be an ongoing system, in which case, if I were you and I was going to go there this summer, I would try to book a room in one of the Disney hotels, because that is going to give you your better chance of getting one of these reservations to get into the Star Wars Land. Now, another thing you can do here, and really, I know we're talking about throwing money at the problem, but you have got to be really motivated if you want to be one of the first people to see this. And Disneyland's getting it first. So it is going to have a really big crush of people who want to see Galaxy's Edge. But here's another thing you could do. You could book a VIP tour. So VIP tour is a private tour, and it's for groups up to, I think, 12 people, that Disney charges an hourly price. It can go up to something like $600 an hour, and there's a minimum. I think you have to do it for 7 hours or 8 hours. So it's a lot, you guys. But a VIP tour generally gives you front of the line access to anything in the parks. So my assumption is that this is a way that you could actually get into the Galaxy's Edge and get into the rides and not wait in those lines. People rave about these VIP tours, you guys. They are, the tour hosts are amazing. You learn a lot. You get to go backstage sometimes. They take care of everything for you, and you avoid crowds. This is one of those times where it might make sense to shell out for a VIP tour. Now, make sure if you book it, you check with Disney and there's no restrictions on related to Galaxy's Edge. I really don't think there will be. I think what they'll probably do is just raise up the hourly rate so that they just don't have 10,000 VIP tours. So if you want to do this, call Disney right away or talk to your travel agent right away and get it set up, because there's going to be if this works, there's going to be a really high demand for it, and there are limited tours. So try a VIP tour. And, when you're at Disney World, if you're going to Disney World and they haven't really said what they're going to do there, I doubt that they're going to do anything special for on-site guests in terms of these reservations, because Disneyland only has 3 hotels full of guests that they would be giving these automatic timed entries to, and Disney World has I don't know, I wrote it. I have it somewhere. It's like 20,000 guest rooms or something. So it's way too many for them to offer the free, the automatic reservation into Galaxy's Edge just because you're staying on site. So I don't expect that to be a thing, but we just have to stay tuned and see what they have to say. They are saying, though, that they are going to open it for extra magic hours at Disney World. So that is one advantage. But again, you're just going to be at rope drop. it's going to be crazy. I know I was there not long after Flight of Passage opened, and even for extra magic hours at Rope Drop at Animal Kingdom, it was packed. So this is going to be the same way. Okay, guys, so I hope I haven't completely scared you about this, but I think it's super important to be, the show's called Go Informed, and this is something you really do need to be informed about. It's going to impact your vacation if you are traveling anytime after these Star Wars lands open. And I really wanted you guys to be aware of it and to be able to start thinking about strategies to either see it, if you really want to see it, or stay away out of those crowds if you can help it. It's really exciting news. It's going to be amazing addition both to Disneyland and to Disney World, and I really can't wait to see it. But personally, unless I get some kind of way to have special access, I don't expect to go and see it for a while. I really would say that this is going to impact visitors to Disneyland and Disney World for a couple of years. That's what happened with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando. I mean, they were doing timed entry at busy times down there into Hogsmeade Village for like the first couple of years that was open. So I can't imagine anything different happening with these Star Wars lands. So you guys, just bottom line, if you want lower prices and lower crowds, try to go before this opens. And if you are going after it opens, set your expectations realistically. There's going to be long waits. Everything's going to be impacted throughout the parks. Your hotel prices are going to be higher because there's going to be a higher demand for people to go and see these parks. It's going to raise up the prices. And worst of all, you might not even get in to see a Star Wars land. So do think about if you want to try to throw some money at that and get yourself in, or if you want to just wait and see it later. And you know, the thing is that this is kind of a fluid situation. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see what happens after things settle down. It's just that I don't really think it's going to settle down for quite a long time. So stay tuned. I'm sure this is a topic that will come up again here. I'll be talking about it a lot on Facebook. And I look forward really to hearing from you guys too. If you go and you see this, or if you see something happening related to a trip you have coming up, if you're noticing, you're getting information from Disney about this or whatever, I would love to hear from you and hear what your personal experience is with this. And you can always reach out to me on social media through Facebook, Instagram. I'm at GoInformNet on all those platforms. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And the other thing, you guys, is that if you're like, oh no, Disney World's going to be super crowded and, you know, I want to go in October or whatever, and what should I do? Okay, my answer is go to Universal, because they are going to be, first of all, they're going to be trying to lure people away from Disney because everybody, you know, Star Wars, you're going to start seeing a lot of ads for this, and they're going to be trying to get people over to Disney. Well, Universal is really, they're going to want people coming to their parks. So watch for deals on their hotels. And also, there is a new ride coming to the Wizarding World at Universal, and it's called Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. It's a roller coaster. I will put a link to a super cool video that's up right now that gives you like a preview of what it's going to look like. It looks amazing. It's coming into the Hogsmeade Village part of Islands of Adventure. It's where the Dragon Challenge used to be. So if you listen to my tour of the Wizarding World, you'll notice that I mentioned they were closing that ride. Well, now the new ride is about to open. That's opening on June 13th. So make sure you get over there and check that out if you're going to be in Orlando after mid-June. And, if you want an immersive experience into a fantasy world, right now, you cannot beat Diagon Alley. It's amazing. So consider Universal. Consider maybe spending a little more time there than you were thinking you were going to spend more time at Disney World. Well, if you're going to be going there after this Star Wars Land opens, you might want to switch it. You might want to spend a little more time over at Universal. I think you're going to have lower crowds there, and the hotel rates I'm expecting, they're going to be offering some special deals. So keep an eye on that, and you can still have a great time in Orlando and do some amazing things. And again, show notes for today's show are at goinform.net/43. Thanks all of you for listening and sharing the show and everything that you do to keep this thing going. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have an astronomical vacation.